There are many reasons to read, but one is that reading and listening to stories provides the best possible training for our imagination. Our imagination is part of our soul and a gift God gives to us to help us make sense of the world. When we visualize pictures of people, things, or events in our minds, it helps to form our imagination. Images imprint in our mind the way that an object held tight in the hand can leave a mark on the palm. Images formed in the imagination are very effective because they can stay in our memory a long time after we have forgotten words and explanations.
So I think when we're guiding our children and helping them choose good material to read, it's really important that there's a clear distinction between good and evil and there's no blurring of the two. And I think that's really important. And by looking at books or reading them ourselves in advance, we can be comfortable that what we're reading is what we're comfortable with our children reading too.
When we started reading stories to the boys, Philip was obsessed with the pop-up tale of Peter Rabbit, and we both nearly memorised it because we read it so many times.
It was just a shortened version.
It's a slightly shortened version.
Yeah. And then we moved on to the actual stories.
Yeah. So those in a sense, they're to call them Christian is they're in a very low sense or in a very diffuse sense, but then they're kind of morality tales. The Tale of Squirrel Nutkin. It's not even clear always whether the main title character is a goodie or a baddie. Sometimes Squirrel Nutkin's a little bit. He's very mischievous, and you go, well, basically he's annoying this owl and so on. But that sense of morality is still there. That sense of justice or injustice is still there.
When the children are little, you have to give them an appetite for reading. So it started with reading to them at night time and reading saints' books. Obviously, when they're younger, reading books that they can really access. And I think that's been a wonderful experience for us as well.
Daniel does most of the bedtime reading, to be fair. So,
yeah, but it's been.
So he does
really
a very good job.
And it gives us an opportunity really to talk to the kids about these things. I have to say, I mean, even though watching videos might be less, inspires their imagination in as much as it gives them something concrete. So there are some videos, like you said, The Greatest Miracle, Saints
and that's
movies.
Nice because as a family we watch it all together so we can all appreciate it together, younger children and older children, and good for us as well.
But I think that furnishes their mind with a concrete reality of things which are mystical, things they haven't seen. And so I think between those books and some movies which can encourage their mind.
Books are a very powerful way of transferring human experience from the mind of an author to the reader. Whilst authors have a very responsible and influential position in forming children's imaginations, the role parents play is fundamental because they can guide their children's reading. Empowering children's imaginations with good quality books is one way to counterbalance some of the more negative influences of popular culture.
I must say you have to be very careful, and it's very difficult to find good books that kind of reflects the Christian life. I found a good book that was about Saint Dominique Savio. I think he's the youngest saint, and we were reading as a bedtime story as a bedtime story for children. And I must say they really enjoyed it. Sometimes it ended up with tears because it was very sad, but I think they understand more than we do. So as we are parents and we have to choose good books for them, and I believe there are many options on the market with just a bit of a research.
Daniel is very good when he reads bedtime stories to the children, so he will read the story as is, and then he'll discuss the illustrations, he'll discuss the characters, he'll sort of say, what are the morals in the story, and he really has the patience, and the children do really lap that all up, don't they? They really get a lot from their bedtime stories. And they're intrigued as well. They have the appetite for it. They're like, can we read another story? Or what else happened? And so they really enjoy that.
I think two books really help us there with Aesop's Fables, where you have these very short stories with a lot of meaning. and you can discuss those for a long time, you know, digging in to the characters and, you know, kind of the story behind that. Also the Book of Virtues, which have a series of stories, poems, really, really great.
Book of Virtues.
When we read books ourselves to check that we're happy for our children to read it, and then they read it, come together and discuss it, discuss the storyline, discuss the characters, discuss the good ones and the bad ones, and seeing good triumph over evil. Because at the end of the day, that's what matters, that they understand that Jesus has won the battle for us, that the battle is won. And these good stories in which good triumphs over evil always just reaffirms that for ourselves and our children.
Some stories which include magic are scary, and it is often because they are occult stories that include paranormal events. Fantasy and occult stories both use magic, and sometimes it can be difficult to tell them apart. In general, in a traditional fantasy story, the action takes place in an unreal world, but the depths of the story are real. Children walk through wardrobes or fall through pictures into other worlds, but these are worlds in which moral order exists. Also, the heroes fight using fair and not foul means, and good triumphs in the end. Good examples of these types of stories include the many books by Christian authors such as J.R.R. Tolkien and C.S. Lewis. By contrast, in occult stories, terrifying occurrences and phenomena take place in the real world. When moral order is missing and the power of evil outweighs that of good, children can be scared and disturbed.